A wonderful good morning to Connect for Video, Meet the Experts second edition. As in our first edition, we once again give a cordially welcome to Andi Zenger, Sales Manager of Connect for Video, and Werner Strasser, Connect for Video from Austria. And today, as a special guest on the show, we have Hans Geeler, from Managing Director of CollabCom, and he will give an insight from Switzerland on the market, on the development, on the use, which type of systems are there in use right now. Mr. Geeler, it was in the past a very important thing to build huge, very prestigious, and of course, pretty substantially financially expensive video conferencing rooms. Not all companies today have that investment and that budget available anymore, and at the same time, the people got more flexible. Nobody wants to be bound to a conferencing room to communicate. From your point of view, what are the main arguments why single workplace solutions have started to become a boom during the last years?
I think the answer is quite clear. We also see what you have mentioned, an increasing demand for desktop video conferencing solutions. One of the reasons is that today teams are distributed. That means people are working at different locations and they need to have the best possible communication, and nothing is better than video conferencing. And for this reason, the demand for video conferencing has increased. And if a company just have meeting rooms equipped with video conferencing, it simply means that if a single person wants to join a video conference, he or she has to book the meeting room. So quite often we see that a single person is occupying a large meeting room, which is not an efficient case. And if we had the chance to provide this video conferencing capability for the employees directly from their desk, there would be the better availability for the meeting rooms. And this is one of the reasons why we see an increased demand for desktop video conferencing.
Speaking about rolling out the video conferencing capabilities to the clients, to the workplace of the single workers, of the employees, also means for the IT department to make that video conferencing client part of their software rollout to that workplace. That sounds at the very beginning, initially a little bit like a lot of work and also some cost involved.
That is true. If you want to provide an employee video conferencing on her or his desk, she or he needs to have an equipment on the desk. That means in practice a video conferencing client plus a camera, microphone and speakers. And here we have a big advantage when we go in the direction of Microsoft Lync. In Switzerland, there are many companies who has already rolled out Microsoft Lync, not for video conferencing, but for presence detection and for chat. And that means that the client, the Lync client, is already rolled out, and this client can not only handle chat and presence, but it can also handle video. So the client is already there, so there is no additional software rollout required to enable the desktop video conferencing. And there is another important trend. People are more and more using notebook computers and not any longer desktop computers. And today's notebook computers, they already have a built-in camera, they have a microphone, and they have speakers. So everything is there, the client is there, and the hardware requirements are there. So the desktop place is ready to be used as a video conferencing client. And this is a big advantage from using the Microsoft Lync scenario.
Speaking about Microsoft Lync as part of the Microsoft software family, I mean, if I think back a few years, there were big discussions and debates. There were the guys from the Microsoft family, the guys from the Apple family, and usually they insisted a lot that it's not so easy to communicate with each other. It's much better to be part of the same family. Speaking of video conferencing, actually communication is the core and the essence. What is the case with Microsoft Lync? Does using Microsoft Lync on the workplace mean that every participant needs to have Microsoft Lync installed?
Interesting question. It does not mean that everybody needs to have Microsoft Lync. It was a little bit the case in the past where Microsoft Lync were more or less a closed user solution, so there was very little interoperability. But today there are several manufacturers who provide so-called gateway solutions to bridge the gap between the two worlds. And in addition to these manufacturers, there are also services available on the market which provide this interoperability between the Microsoft Lync world and the video conferencing world as a service. And one of the very good example of this is Connect for Video, which I think Andi Zenger can tell you more about it.
Yeah, then I would say let's give the word to Andi Zenger. Connect for Video is also using Lync as a single workplace solution.
Well, this is not the right term of the question. I mean, actually, we can provide interconnectivity to all different clients, and Lync is just one part of it. So the beauty and the benefit of Connect for Video services for video conferencing is the freedom to choose whatever web client, whatever technology you are interested to use at your side. So we are not dictating to the customer to use Lync, as we are not dictating the customer to use H323 terminal. But any video terminal can be used to integrate into a conference, which makes a big benefit in the accessibility of video conferencing technologies. At the end of the day, Lync is a very good example for us for the integration, because we can integrate in Lync not only by audio and video, but also into the data stream. So an H323 terminal connected from the Connect for Video video conferencing services can connect to a Lync client on audio, video, and on the data in the full the second data stream. So that is the main important advantage. And we do see Lync as a major trend, because it is easy to deploy, as Hans explained a second ago, and it has a massive deployment rate. So it becomes more and more interested for us to integrate in such technology, because of the possible numbers of accessible endpoints which can be reached by such technology. So Lync is a major factor for us, but it's not the only one.
Mm-hmm. Hans, maybe another question. In the past, there was I would say a substantial effort of sales teams to spread the message that high quality in video conferencing can only be reached with high-end video conferencing solutions and video conferencing rooms. Does using a single workplace solution actually mean a decrease in video and audio quality?
It was the case in the past, but regarding these points, Microsoft made a big advantage with the new Microsoft Lync version, because they have implemented new coding algorithm in this solution. Actually, they are using in the video area the H.264 SVC codec, which is one of the most efficient codec today available. And this means that users can achieve a high quality with a minimal bandwidth. And this is not only good for the users, but it's also a good message for the IT department, because they always see a little bit the danger of overusing their network due to too many concurrent running video conferences. But this is now something from the past, as we have a very efficient video coding in the new Microsoft Lync solution.
So it seems that the technique is relatively easy to be configured, to be established, but can everybody work with this? Is using the usability of these solutions really as simple as it should be, Hans?
Yes, I think this is especially true for Microsoft Lync, and there is a simple reason. People do not get a new client when using video conferencing on the desktop. They simply use an additional function of a well-known client. So in fact, it means instead of pushing on the chat icon, they simply press the video icon and they can start their video conferences. That's all. So that means in practice, there is almost no training required to enable the desktop video conferencing based on Microsoft Lync in an enterprise.
Well, that sounds like a very round and smooth thing, but with these round and smooth things, the question is always, where are the pitfalls? Where are the problems, the possible problems, the things one has to pay attention to during the implementation of such a solution?
Yes, that's an interesting question, and you are really addressing still some weaknesses we have in this area. Actually, interoperability between Microsoft Lync and H323 regarding just audio and video is a piece of cake. That means it works quite nice. But if it comes to data presenting, then this is a little bit different. Data presenting is quite often used in video conferencing. We are used to have a presentation in addition to the video so that we see what we speak about. And the same is true on the Lync side. The people want to share the content of the PC, they are discussing about it. But the bad news is that the two technologies which are used in the video conferencing and in the Lync world are completely different. And here is also the difference in the gateway solution as in the services. And I think if you want to do a Lync video conferencing gateway solution, you have to really pay attention what happens with the data. Is it just dropped? Is it working just in one direction, or does it work in both directions? And I think this is an interesting point I would like to hand over to Andy Zenger, because I think here we have with Connect for Video special features which I think are worth to be mentioned.
Looking at this H239 protocol, which permits to have, let's say, a PowerPoint presentation transmitted in parallel to a video conference signal, I think, Andy, that would be a very interesting thing. You could emphasize a little bit on the advantages of this and how this is handled in the practical real-world setting. And speaking about practical real-world settings, I mean, today, many people just think nothing can happen because video conference is a video conference system and PCs are PCs, and the only thing we need to be aware of are that nobody hacks into our PC systems. Maybe you also could add a little bit on what happens with video conference systems and are they per se already secure?
Very interesting questions. Let me try to answer them. First of all, in regards to the presentation mode, I think Connect for Video as a service provider cooperating with BlueJeans, we are proud to say that we can cooperate and collaborate between H323 terminals and Lync in full data stream compatibility. That means that a presenter on a Lync device can open a dual video channel and the H323 terminal can see it as a dual video channel and vice versa. Now that is a very important benefit because let's say comparing to other Lync gateways and providers, this function is very often neglected. And that means we have here an extremely important functionality which provides better collaboration in these type of technologies. That is provided by two types. One is the BlueJeans service, which has the Lync interoperability, and Connect for Video has the secure connection for the H323 terminal. So in this collaboration of both companies, we can provide such technology, and we are really proud about that. On the other side, leading the discussion into the security term, I'm afraid to say that many people do not consider video conferencing technologies as, let's say, hacker affectable like PCs. For PC, everybody is accepting that situation, and everybody is considering PCs as affected by hackers. But in the video technology, very often terminals are connected into public IP addresses. Nobody would do that with a public PC. Nobody would rather take an PC and put that on a public IP address, because everybody knows that this is a security risk. On the video conferencing devices, very often this is done. I think that is in lack of the understanding that even a video conferencing terminal is actually a Linux device, which is affecting and working with the same ports like a PC. And we recently issued a security white paper discussing these topics because Connect for Video is always trying to bring security topics into our discussions, because we are the secure company, so we can provide security technologies to protect the users in exactly these manners and protect them from hackers from outside. And our security white paper, which is available with the December edition of the newsletters, is exactly addressing these topics. And I think it's a very interesting paper to read. I would welcome everybody to download that and get an insight.
Mm-hmm. I would also like to address Werner Strasser in Austria, just to give an Austrian expertise on the one side on the importance of Microsoft Lync on the client side. And Werner, maybe you also could emphasize a little bit on the importance of securing video conferencing systems and communication systems in general, and the potential of financial loss which could be included in not doing so.
Yeah, so let me first start with Microsoft Lync. Of course, Lync has a growing role in the marketplace in terms of the Microsoft marketing and sales seem to work very well on that. And so a lot of companies actually roll out Lync by default, which is something good for the customers, because they have a lot of functions available on their desktops, as Hans Geeler mentioned before. Most of them simply use it for chat, and in very rare occasions also for things like presence information about the other one. That's at least my experience with the customers I've been talking to. So for these customers, Lync, of course, is very, very important to have a video-ready endpoint already. Even most of them don't know that by now. Of course, it's very important to understand that Lync is just one of a whole bunch of possibilities to make a PC or Apple client video ready. The good news is that whatever you have, it can be Skype, as I see in your case in a moment, Thomas, or you can have Lync, or you can have simple a web browser with a plugin that is provided by Connect for Video. Actually, there is a freedom of method how to join a meeting, and that's very important. The other thing is about security, and of course we really have to stress the point that there are various possibilities in connecting your video conferencing endpoints, your systems, to the world. And as Andreas Zenger mentioned before, of course, connecting a machine using a public IP address is maybe the easiest way. It's easy to say, okay, I have a public IP address available. Why do I not connect my video endpoint to this public IP address? Because at that point, you don't need to care about your firewall settings. You don't need to care about network address translation, nothing, and all these things that the average IT manager doesn't really have a lot of fun with. But on the other side, of course, this enables hackers to use your system for things that you probably don't like. It's really easy. When you connect the machine to the public IP address, you will find out, at least that's my experience here in Austria, and I'm pretty sure that this is a global phenomenon. When you connect your machine to a public IP address and start to monitor who tries to attack you, who tries to reach you by what means of, let's say, technology from the bad guys, you will find out that there are several attacks on one day to try to come into your system. The funny thing is that most of these attacks there is no need for someone to sit behind and dial your number. This is just automated processes from some computers trying to hack into your voice over IP infrastructure for the purpose of using your outlines to make expensive calls on your costs. So this is something that happens actually several times a day. And so therefore it's very important to understand the problems that can happen if you do not use secure solutions like firewall traversal, like connecting your video conference by using your existing firewall technology. And this is where the complexity comes into the game for the IT specialists. The good news is, of course, when you use the proper technology, as we do it with Connect for Video, you don't really need to care about it. You have your firewall protecting you, and your video conferencing system stays behind the firewall, and you just connect through your firewall in a very defined position to the internet. So actually, there are solutions available.
That's good to hear that despite all challenges, there are also solutions to get things done, to get communication flowing. At this very point, I want to thank all our participants of this edition of Connect for Video, Meet the Experts. I want to thank Hans Geeler in Switzerland. I want to thank Werner Strasser in Austria and Anit Zenger in Germany for participating. And stay connected, because there will be a next edition of Connect for Video, Meet the Experts. See you there.